Today we have a unique guest on the show, Mr. Evan Stark. Evan is one of our good friends, and today we talk about a variety of topics. Evan's a brand new father. Him and his wife just had a beautiful daughter named Alice. So we talk about what that was like, for just the process of going from not having a child to all of a sudden having this child, and the experience that was for them, as well as some topics in nutrition. We talk about some of his lifting. Evan is a 230-pound monster, so he gives some good advice on how he got to that size and how he's maintaining that, and how he's kind of balancing being a father with the gym as well. So hope you guys enjoy this unique episode with Evan Stark. What is it like to be a new father and the strongest man in the 920?
Well, I don't know if I would go with that second title there, but the new father thing, I mean, I got to say it's unlike anything else I've ever experienced in my life. I kind of thought, over the last 9 months that I knew what it was going to feel like. And, I was a little bit excited, but I feel like it's a little bit different for like a man in the relationship, as far as like my wife already felt like she was a mother when she was pregnant. And I wasn't quite feeling it yet when she was pregnant. I just didn't have that feeling of like, of being a father. And then like right after, the second I saw her, like the second she was born, and then they put her on my wife's chest, and like her eyes were open and she looked at me, and like right then I feel like it really hit me that like everything about my mentality in life changed. Like the rest of my life was going to be based around looking after this little girl and making sure that she had everything she needed. So, I mean, it was just crazy. It's like in an instant, everything that you feel changes for the rest of your life.
It's weird. Like you hear that, I hear that, from my parents, from, everyone with kids. It's like that moment, your life changes. How in one moment can you best describe it? I mean, you kind of just did, but like, was it all in like just one moment of seeing your daughter, or has it been like progressive throughout the 9 months of like, okay, we're 2 months away, we're 1 month away, like, or was it just like, boom, you saw your daughter?
I mean, I don't know how it was for everybody else, but I guess for me, like I was saying, is like that 9 months, like I just wasn't getting those feelings yet of like being a parent. So for me, it was literally just like a switch was just flipped. Like she looked at me right in the eyes, and I was just like everything changed. Like you have priorities before you're a parent, and like all of a sudden those are way down the list. Like everything else that I care about just does not compare to her. And it just happened just like that. So
how did you decide on name, and did you do it in the moment when she was born, or did you have it picked out, and how did that work?
So this was an interesting part about having a child, I think, is that we spent basically the entire pregnancy, like my wife had like a list of names, and she was just going through them like, what do you think of all these names? And a lot of them I hated, a lot of them were way too common. We just cross them off as we went. And then we ended up like, we're going into like the labor room, and we have 3 names that we really like. And my wife is 100% convinced that she's going to see her and she's going to know which name is the right name. And I'm still really skeptical. I'm like, I obviously have a favorite, and this is the one that I'm going to try to go with no matter what. And so, yeah, she was born, and I really tried to hold it to the one that I preferred. And then my wife liked this other one that we both liked. We liked it a lot. And after discussing it, we ended up picking the one, and like, I don't know, I love it. It's absolutely amazing. Like, I liked all 3 names a lot. I think that the naming thing, it was kind of, I thought at first it was going to be no big deal, like, oh, it's just a name, but I don't know. It's just, it has a lot to do with your identity, I feel like, throughout your life. So I don't know. I'm 100% satisfied with the one we picked, but yeah, I don't know. We picked it. We picked it when she was born. My wife knew that that was the one she wanted, and I was 100% in support of if that was the feeling. Like if she literally felt that in the moment, then I figured, that's got to mean something. That's got to be the right one. So that's what we went with.
What are the three, and what was the final decision?
So our three were Mara, which is spelled Mera, which I liked a lot. I thought it was really unique. And then Alice, which, again, I absolutely love that name. And then the other one was Winter, which super unique. You never hear that. And the one that I really liked was Mara. Like, I've never heard it before. It also is the name of a character in, a comic book that I'm obsessed with. So, but nobody knows that, so they couldn't make fun of her. And we ended up. My wife was obsessed with Alice. That was the name that she loved it when she was born. So we ended up going with Alice Winter for a middle name. And so far people seem to really like it. I'm happy with it.
Did Alice come from just a name that you both liked, or was it like a family member or something like that?
It actually is my wife's great-grandmother's name. So that was a big part of it. And then also, like, my wife has a love of Alice in Wonderland, and it's also the name of the main character in Resident Evil, who's pretty awesome. So we got a lot of cool things back in that name right there.
That's great, man. That's great. I like the unique middle name, too. Was that also sort of just out of uniqueness?
Yeah, that was just, we saw it on a list of just girls' names that are going to be popular, and I was like, I just think that it was a beautiful name, and I've never met anybody in my life with that name. So I really wanted to include that. Like, if we weren't going to go with it for a first name just because it was a little bit too out there, I really wanted to include it, and we just thought that it flowed really well as a middle name.
So having a new addition to the family, what is your newest favorite thing to do?
So right now, one thing that I don't know, honestly, like, I just like sitting out on the couch and just holding her, and like, I don't know, she opens her eyes and she looks at me, and I just think I don't know, man, that's what it's all about right there. Like, every time she's like aware and we're looking at each other, I just think that's so crazy. And I just wonder, like, what is she thinking when she's looking at me?
She's singing, "Wow, my dad has huge traps."
Well, I hope so. Yeah, that'd be a good first impression.
I hope I have traps like my dad.
I hope not. I don't think that's a very good feature on a woman, but
CrossFit, man.
I
Girls.
guess. But I don't know, maybe not, genetically right out of the womb, huge traps. That doesn't seem like that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be a challenge. Right. Growing up with traps like yours. I want to go back to the name thing. I feel like you mentioned everyone has like personal experiences with names. Like, you hear one name and it makes you think of like your 5th grade science teacher or something. So you don't like that name, or like you mentioned, that's my favorite comic book character. So names are so personal, but then you got to combine that with another person's personal, like,
yeah,
that's tough.
Yeah, there's definitely some clashing, like when we were going through the lists of names, like there was a, one or two arguments over ones that we liked and ones, that each other just absolutely did not like. So that was tough. I mean, just think about it. Like, we probably went through 1,000 names and we ended up with 3. So it's definitely hard to come to a decision on that, I felt like.
So you are big into comics. That's one of your major hobbies. Big into lifting weights. First of all, before Alice was born, which one took precedent? Like, what was your favorite?
I have to say that I've kind of got like I absolutely love those two things. You know, they're two of my favorite things to do in life. They're my main hobbies, and I kind of got to a good point where I was able to balance the both of them as far as how much I'm able to put time into them throughout the week. And yeah, I would say like fitness is always going to take precedence for me. Like fitness is something that I think like I absolutely need on a daily basis just to feel good, you know, just to like it's just so important in my everyday life. Like my mindset is just sometimes so dependent on, you know, how things are going in the gym, how I'm feeling. Like I would have to say I'd always put fitness first, but as far as the amount of time I put into them, it's probably about the same.
So how is it going to change now with Alice? Like, how are you going to continue to keep up with your workouts? Because you train almost 2 hours, 6 to 7 days a week.
Yeah. I guess like obviously Alice is going to come first no matter what. You know, if there's something that, you know, if I need to watch her or my wife needs a break, then, you know, I'm going to be at home with her. Like I feel like that's the way it is once you have a child, is like that's going to always be the most important thing to you. But I'm lucky in the sense that I have an extremely supportive wife, and she, you know, she's even the last, you know, few days, she's like, you know, you need to get out of the house and go to the gym, then you can go do that. Like she understands that, you know, it's just really important to me and it makes me feel great. And like I said, she's extremely supportive, and I'm lucky to have an amazing wife. So I owe a lot of that to her, I think.
How is did you dabble anymore with the comic writing at all?
You know, it is something that I would really like to pursue. Like I have this is something that me and Chad have talked extensively about in the gym. Is I have a lot of good ideas, you know, bottled up in my head, and I would really like to pursue, you know, writing and learning how to do comic art and just have my own, you know, creator owned comic that is just all, you know, just my ideas that I came up with. And I have not had very much time to put into it as of recent, with, you know, my wife's pregnancy getting, you know, towards the end. And then obviously this last week and a half now has been crazy. I was lucky to have time to go to the gym. So, but I'm hoping that, you know, in the future here, I can put a lot more time into getting that going, because that's something that I would absolutely love to do.
That's awesome. That's good. It's cool to hear you say that you still want to make the effort for these things, and having your daughter as the most important thing, but not saying there's no time to go to the gym. Like when there's time, you make the time, or to do your comics and things. So do you think that oftentimes people just, I mean, you have a lot on your plate right now. It's a pretty big mental change. Do you find that people are just not willing to make that change, or what was the biggest step for you making that mental change?
You know, I do feel like priorities, I think, is the thing that people, I think, that have new kids, and then even people without kids, I feel like a lot of people are good at coming up with reasons why they can't do stuff, you know, me included, in a lot of times in my life. And I think it just comes down to, you know, priorities. Like a lot of people, they have a child, they stop working out. They're like, oh, I don't have time to do that. I don't want to say that, you know, all those people do have time to do it, but I think that if you truly care about, you know, wanting to make it to the gym, wanting to like learn this new hobby, like making a comic, I think that there's always opportunity for you to make it work somehow. If you truly care about it, I think that, you know, you're never going to say, oh, that's impossible. You know, there's no way I can make it to the gym 3 days this week. There's no way I can set aside an hour, you know, a couple times a week to try to develop this comic book that I've, you know, wanted to create my whole life. I just think that you need to truly care about it. And I think that's always something that, like these things that I truly care about, I'm always going to make time for them. Just like going to the gym and reading comics, and hopefully someday having my own comic.
So you and Zach have been training together recently. What is, I mean, both of you can fill me in a little bit on what you got going on for training. Did you write a program, and how is it different from your more like bodybuilding style stuff that you were always kind of, mentioning, like getting more expansion on, more diversity on?
Yeah. So me and Zach, and one thing I do want to say about this also is Zach has been a huge help like this last week as far as, there's a good amount of those nights where I was barely getting any sleep. And I feel like if I wasn't coming in the gym to work out with him, I might have had not quite as amazing of workouts. So, I definitely owe a lot to him this week as far as pushing me in the gym, which was awesome. And we did write a program together, which, I mean, I guess it's amazing. Like the basis of it is it's just extremely well-rounded as far as, you're putting effort into every aspect of like physical fitness is what I would say, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we combined, we put together everything that you are good at, and you listed everything that you want to improve on. And then same for me, which was like, for me, a lot of, the bodybuilding style workouts, a lot of the higher rep, the smaller muscles, the rear delts, the traps. So the stuff that I never wanted to hit, those are a lot of your strengths. So you brought that. And then I think for you, like me bringing the athletic piece into it, has been helpful for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like one of the big like concepts behind this program was like when I originally, kind of presented the idea to Zach was that, you do it with a buddy and you both take, like he said, you write down the things that you want to improve at and the things that maybe you're not doing right now. And you combine both your strengths and both your weaknesses, and you kind of force each other to get outside of their comfort zone and pursue the other person's goals along with your own. And I think like, it's just a great way to, kind of compete with each other a little bit and push each other out of your comfort zone and make some real progress in the gym and maybe ways that you wouldn't even be doing on your own.
Yeah, it's been an awesome 3 weeks.
Yeah,
we were testing for we tested for 3, and then we've been like officially rolling for.
Yeah, our testing was pretty much just doing the program, but
yeah, tweaked a few things, but it's been good. I think that's a good point you make. A lot of times I think we get caught in routine, even if we are getting to the gym, whatever it is, 3 times a week or 7 times a week, you get stuck in routine, whether it's training by yourself, training with a group, but having change, not only mentally, but physically as well, just changing the stimulus of your muscles has been amazing just as far as growth and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, me and Zach both, I think that we struggle with, you kind of get in a routine and you end up doing the same thing week after week, and it starts to suck. You're not making any progress and you're having bad workouts, and you just continue to not do anything different. And I think that that's one of the awesome things about this program that we came up with, and even just the idea behind it is just, like we've been talking about, force you out of that comfort zone and make changes.
So you got a little back attack workout.
That's correct. Late night back.
What do you guys got in store for your back workout?
Well, I mean, I'm hoping that we could start with some hypertrophy back tonight. Zach is a fan of deadlifting first, so we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, we're definitely going to be we're a big fan of, heavy banded deadlifts. So we're going to be doing those. I almost guarantee it. And then, we'll be doing all the basics for back, bent over rows, pull-ups, all of it.
Yeah, you guys both are a couple of bull moose when it comes to deadlifting, so that's probably a pretty rowdy crowd in there when you guys are doing that. Explain a little bit what you mean by I can't even say it.
Hypertrophy.
Hypertrophy.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, hypertrophy is just, increasing the size of your muscles. So obviously, like, there are some, exercises and and rep schemes and just ways to do things that throughout the years, people have, I don't have like a lot of like, science on this, but it does seem like throughout the years, like throughout all the different generations of fitness, there's been some basic movements and some basic ways of doing things that people have generally considered to be good for increasing muscle size. And that was one of the things that, Zach was going to kind of be after with this program along with me, because, bigger is always better. So we're going to be doing a lot of that stuff for sure tonight, filling up the muscles and then doing some strength work and some speed work, and we're gonna get after all of it. Probably some, GPP at the end, which maybe Zach would like to talk about that. That's a new thing for me, so
that's good. That's good. Yeah, take note on that too. Of all so many things are pretty relative when it comes to what works and what doesn't, because everybody's going to be different. Everyone's taking a different thing and eating a different way. So I think that's good that you mentioned that. Zach, tell us about GPP.
General Physical Preparedness. That's from Westside Barbell. Louis Simmons uses that term, and ultimately it's just core. I mean, and core for us means glutes and hams as well as abs. So today we got 100+ reps of GPP. We'll be on probably like the glute ham deck, or we'll do like some hamstring curls just for reps, like sets of 25, 4 sets. And I think it's huge for like injury prevention as well as just strengthening the major exercises like the deadlift and squat. So
when you mentioned the core, I think that's a good point. People think of core of like doing sit-ups, like 100 of them a day or something, but most people that have, which is what 90% of humans have back pain or whatever. It's because of weak core and weak glutes, and I'm sure there's a number statistic out there, but if more people would just focus on strengthening those things and using them, you'd probably have less back pain. I know that has helped me in the past quite a bit. Noticed the difference between if I'm not deadlifting or working abs, strengthening those areas, then I definitely have a more prone back soreness throughout my week. 80% of the population with back pain. 264 million lost work days because of back pain. So that means start doing your squats and start doing some flutter kicks and get them hammies firing. Tell us about your experience when you were doing some personal training.
Yeah, all right. So, I mean, a long time ago, I was, briefly attempted to get into personal training, and I kind of just realized, I guess, that it wasn't for me. I think, like, I'm just in general an extremely motivated person, I guess, and I've never had an issue with being motivated. I love going to the gym. Most days I love going to work and doing manual labor. And one of the things that I kind of encountered when I was personal training is a lot of people just kind of expect you to make it happen for them. And I just struggle with that a lot because they wouldn't put forth, a very strong effort in the gym or in their diet, and then I mean they would end up they wouldn't get the results they wanted. And I mean, you can only push somebody so much to do the things that they need to do. Part of it is always going to have to be them. They're going to have to want it, or it's not going to happen. And I kind of ended up losing motivation myself, like for a small period of time, just because being around so many people that they want to lose weight, but they don't want to put in the work. And it started to kind of wear down on me. And I ended up having to just step away from it, for my own sake.
What did you like to focus on when you were training people?
I think for the majority of people that that come to personal trainers, like full body workouts, keeping the heart rate up, trying to hit all of the muscle groups in the workouts, and just, yeah, like I said, just burning a lot of calories, keeping the heart rate up, and just trying to improve their general fitness overall was typically my goal.
So going back to what you said about staying motivated and wanting to go to work and wanting to go to the gym, for you, what is the key factor that keeps that for you?
Ooh, that's kind of a tough question to answer. I feel like I've always loved doing, I guess, as far as like the physical side of my life, I've always loved doing physical stuff and using my body to accomplish goals and to progress. So as far as work and working out, it's just always been easy for me to be motivated to do it because I love it. There's other areas in my life where I do struggle with motivation, like the comic book creating. Like I feel like I could be putting more effort into that. And, maybe I've been kind of shorting myself on that aspect of my life. So, but I think that one thing I am good at is kind of realizing, mentally, like, I haven't been trying as hard as I could at this. And then just constantly reminding myself that. And like, it just kind of, you keep telling yourself that, and it's going to get you fired up to work at it a little bit harder.
I don't want to answer for you or anything, but as someone looking on, I would say an attribute that I respect and has, I believe, a big toll on that for everyone is your positive attitude. I mean, you get up at 3 or something, go to a physical job, and then in the afternoon you're at the gym just ready to go, positive, always, other people are talking to you, you're always positive towards them. So I would say, well, I appreciate that and respect that. And also I would say that's probably a huge part that people nowadays are missing, is just being more positive.
Yeah, I have to agree 100%. And I think that, this is something that I think I've talked to both Chad and Zach about before, is that I think positivity is one of the most important qualities that you can have as a person. And every day, even if I'm having a bad day, I try to make sure that I'm not spreading that negativity to other people, because what is that accomplishing? It's not going to make you feel any better. But generally, I do have a really great attitude and I feel great. And I try to, even when I'm not, I try to, turn that around, which can be hard, but it's definitely possible. And yeah, like I said, I just think positivity, like if more people were positive in life, it'd make everything so much better.
So do comics or weight training turn your mood around more than the other?
Ooh, that's tough. I guess I would have to go with weight training, because I could be having the worst day ever, and I could go meet Zach in the gym and have an amazing workout, and it wouldn't have mattered how bad that day was before that. Like, I'm having a great day now, and I forgot about everything that made my day bad. And like, I do love comics, but there's nothing like having that great workout. It shuts out everything that was upsetting you just in the blink of an eye. And it's crazy, and I want more people to experience that.
And now you have even one more great positivity in your life with Alice. So
Exactly.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. Like you're like a genuinely happy man most of the time. And like yesterday, I could tell like you were a little down, but you literally said like, I don't want to bring this negativity into our workout. Like you said that, and I was like, all right, not even gonna ask about your day. Let's just get after it, and we got after it.
Exactly. Yep. That's what you got to do. What would it have accomplished by me approaching you with my negativity and my negative attitude, other than bringing you down, when in that moment I'm in the perfect situation to maybe eliminate all that negativity, which is exactly what we did. We had a great workout like we always do, and I went home to my wife and baby, and I felt amazing. So
one of the things that I'm kind of learning from you, and I'd like to hear a little bit more from, is like you you don't put focus on like career and accomplishments in that aspect like a lot of people do for like their happiness and their worth. And we talk about how like the find your passion thing is really hot right now. And we had a conversation about this, I think like a month or so ago, just about how like you like going in and doing physical labor, but like your value, your like happiness, your accomplishment isn't found in that job. Like, where did you develop that? And where is your happiness? Like, where do you find satisfaction?
That was a long road to figuring that out for myself. I think I spent years, watching other people, get these jobs and accomplish these things financially. And I thought that, I needed to have those things, and I needed to have like that great job to be somebody and to be happy, because that's what, I think society makes it really easy for you to believe that. And, one day I think one thing that helped me figure out this for myself is that I've always been great at making friends and like being a friend. I came to realize that like value in life for me came from those relationships, and like just having these super strong relationships with family and friends like Zach and Chad here. Like I think that's what I'm good at in life, and that's what I think life is all about. And when I realized that, it made a ridiculous difference in my positivity and my happiness, that I don't need all that extra stuff. All I really need is my couple hobbies that I love, and like a huge amount of really good friends if possible. I mean, it is hard to find those people that you mesh well with as good as like we do, but if you can find them, then my recommendation is that you do whatever it takes to hold on to them.
Gotta have friends for game night with teriyaki chicken skewers and coconut bars, right?
That's exactly right. Try to limit yourself on the coconut bars, but
yeah, Zach and I talked about this a little bit earlier this week, but it's funny because the whole find your passion thing and, be successful and spread your love of that passion. All three of us are very passionate and interested in physical fitness, going and working out and being just in general shape, but have all dabbled in personal training and don't like it, So I don't think that there should be such a pressure on find your passion and then go make it a business, because it's a difficult thing to do. And then I think it puts pressure, and people dive into something that's really not their passion, and they find out a lot of things about themselves that, hey, maybe I don't really like this, or I just kind of dove into this because I felt so pressured. And then what is that? It's just like any other job you're doing out of school or out of just being pressured to have a job. So
yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, and I think there's nothing wrong with like your experience, Evan, going and trying it. I mean, you would have never known that you didn't like personal training. You could, if you wouldn't have done that, you could be sitting here today like, oh man, maybe I should, start my own personal training thing, right?
Right. Yeah, I think that's how you find out what you should be doing in life, is by trying stuff and failing and finding what you like.
So this goes way off topic, but I'm curious as to know if you both added a nutrition plan to this. What's the workout called? What's this workout called? Is there a name to it? There's got to be a name. Uh-oh.
Superhero. Superhuman.
You would think, you being the comic man, like I was thinking you were going to have this just amazing name. I think it was in there like Evan and Zach's program or in the Word doc.
It was a pretty lame name to start.
And then you never came up with something, and then I just put Superhuman program on it.
I will admit that it was a little bit upsetting that Zach came up with a name that amazing when I should have. So
I mean, we can always change it when it, when it goes big. But yeah, so this will be an interesting topic. The diet part of things. Evan's got me onto this jasmine rice, this white rice. What does your everyday eating look like? You're pretty regimented, so let's hear it.
yeah, I pretty much eat the same thing, at least the 5 weekdays. And when I'm at work, I eat the same thing every day. So I guess just to run it down quick, I mean, I wake up at 3 a.m. I make 5 whole eggs with 3 pieces of turkey bacon, and then I'll eat a cup of oatmeal, and I'll do that every morning, 3 a.m. And then about like I think around, between like 9 and 9:30, whenever I get a chance to eat again, I'll eat another like 5 ounces of turkey, and an apple. And then around noon, this is when the jasmine rice comes into play. We'll eat another, 5 ounces of meat. Sometimes it could be, basically anything. And then a cup of jasmine rice and, maybe a little bit of almond butter. And, yeah, I think the jasmine rice is pretty key as far as, getting that blood flow in the gym. I think maybe Zach would attest to that based on his recent workouts. But yeah, so I eat the same thing all day throughout like my work day. And then my wife cooks dinner. Another amazing thing about her, she'll cook a different, something different for dinner every night. And it's usually, pretty healthy, like as far as, vegetables, protein, sometimes, some mashed potatoes in there, which I'm not complaining about because I love them. So yeah, as far as like a family, I feel like we eat extremely well. And yeah, I mean, I eat the same thing every day.
Do you take supplements? Do you do pre-workout, post-workout?
I do take pre-workout. I think that I maybe am a little bit addicted to pre-workout. And, after, you wake up at 3 a.m. though, and you do 10 hours of manual labor. And I do have to say that the pre-workout definitely helps to kind of get you feeling a little bit fresh again. Like that burst of caffeine and everything else in there is pretty nice. But I also wish that I could, walk away from pre-workout sometimes. It can be kind of difficult. And yeah, I do drink a protein shake after my workout. So.
And then anything after dinner, like before bed, casein?
No, I just do the pre-workout and protein once a day, and that's it. I'm not a huge believer in overdoing it with supplements. I think that, there may be giving you that extra 2% if you already have your diet and your training on point. I wouldn't even recommend that people take supplements that aren't maximizing their potential in those other 2 aspects of fitness, because you're not going to really get very much out of them, and they're not cheap. So
yeah, pre-workout is a hard habit to break. It is definitely something that people start way too early and I think use way too often. But as far as the jasmine rice goes, why that?
I don't have a good reason for this. This is the problem. Should I just say that?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do quite as much research into like the science behind diets and all of that as far as like compared to Chad and Zach. But one thing that I started doing early on is I would always eat rice, leading up to my workout. And for whatever reason, I recently I took a step away from carbs, after, communicating with Chad, and it actually made a huge difference as far as, I dramatically, dropped body fat over the course of like 2 months. But one thing I did notice is that the only thing I basically cut out was the rice, and my, my strength and like the amount of blood flow that I was getting in the gym did decrease dramatically. And like I said, the only difference there was the removal of rice throughout my day. And, like I said, I don't have any science to back that, but what I do have is I only changed one thing, and that was the effect. And when I added it back in, I started getting a lot more blood flow again. And that's one thing I've always eaten rice before my workouts, and I've always had great, circulation and strength. So it's just something I do.
Any reason, I guess, any reason jasmine rice over brown or white rice?
That's just the one I like. So I do think that brown is significantly healthier, but I just can't stand it, so I don't eat it.
So mostly like flavor and
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know if there's like a secret key of the ancient grain as jasmine rice.
I don't think so. I think the preferred rice would be brown, but I just can't eat it.
So yeah, the rice. You guys know Stan Efferding, the Rhino, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He was a bodybuilder and then crazy powerlifting totals too. Like, I don't know his numbers, 22.
Incredibly strong.
Yeah, very strong. But he has this thing called the vertical diet, and vertical foods being like red meat and then white rice. And ultimately his theory is just like athletes needing to hit like their macros with easily digestible carbohydrates, like white rice, jasmine rice, for example, using those just to get their caloric intake up so they're recovering faster from workouts, ultimately, is his theory with that diet.
So that that jasmine rice or that white rice or the carb, is that recommended before workout as a pre-workout or directly after?
He has it like in that diet, he has it mixed in with every single meal besides breakfast. Well, so lunch, snack, and dinner, he's got like rice mashed in there. So I've been implementing it, and it's been a crazy difference. It's interesting, like the water retention when you add a lot of carbohydrates. Like I'm up 5 pounds throughout the day, but like in the morning I'll wake up lean, like after, the water weight is gone. So it's interesting when you add the carbohydrates, like the water retention you get in your muscles. It's almost like you're on you're taking like a creatine supplement. And there's been reference to like sodium and creatine there's new research that's saying like they're almost like they're fulfilling the same exact thing. It's bringing more water storage into your muscle.
So do you take, or do you both eat like a small pre-workout meal with rice then?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Or like a month ago, me and Zach were kind of joking around about it, and I convinced him to implement the old jasmine rice before the workout, and maybe he can tell you. I think it's working out pretty well for him as well. So
you both have done fasted weight training. Does it make a substantially large difference as far as endurance and your just cognitive ability during the workout?
I think the two biggest areas that, for the most part, I actually enjoyed, like I did pretty well training on the low carb diet and also even training in the morning without eating anything. But the two big areas where I really suffered were overall strength, just moving maximum weight, and then again, blood flow. It would take me twice as long to get any sort of blood flow into those muscles, which, from somebody who's been training for 9 years, that can really hinder you, especially if you're trying to, go for a new PR and you have no blood in that muscle. It can kind of get a little, sketchy there. So
you guys are both pretty lean, strong too as well. So I think there's good value in not overdoing the jasmine rice before or after the workout.
I agree. Moderation is key.
So a cup, you said a cup before?
Yep, that's what I do, is just the 1 cup before my workout, and that's all we really need, I think. So
like a half hour before?
I usually try to eat about an hour before, maybe a little bit more than an hour. Otherwise, I feel like I kind of get like gut rot just from having all that food still in my belly.
And
1 cup cooked.
Uncooked would be tricky.
That's disgusting. I don't know. How do you eat it?
When so
I do
cup uncooked before you throw it in the stove.
Well, I cook all my rice at once, like normally in a rice cooker. So you have to measure it after, because otherwise, because I just put it in a big bowl in the fridge. The oats I do uncooked. So that's a little weird. It just goes to show though that there's no like perfect science behind you need exactly this much rice to have a good workout. I don't think that's really true. I just think that having some rice leading up to your workout is enough to, just give you those lasting carbs to your workout and get you through it. And then I think you're pretty good after that.
I would beg to differ. There are people that are searching like for the most optimal athletic diet, but that's like the 0.0001% of the population, right?
Right.
So I mean, I guess in the aspect of like you and me, everyday people, the 1 cup, the half cup, then it doesn't matter. But
I feel like it's working for us.
But there's got to be like some optimal like performance diet out there. There's just
so much, information just like flooding the fitness community about what's the best way to eat for all, for training. And I just think that number one, it depends on the person. Some people can train extremely effectively on diets that include no slow digesting carbohydrates, and I feel like I'm not one of those people. So again, I think it depends on the person. I also think you just need to try different things until you feel like you're, in an optimal state.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I know Chad has experimented quite a bit with fasting, and he's said like, you've said how many times like I did this and this didn't work, or you'll come in all fired up and be like, dude, I fasted for this and then I ate this and this is how my body responded. So it's exactly what you just said. You gotta try stuff. You can do all the research you want, but start diving in. Try keto, try paleo, try fasting for 4 days.
Nope.
I want to, real quick as we close up, I want to transition back. So you're a new father, still getting after it in the gym. A husband, this is a tough question, and you're brand new to fatherhood, but like I've talked to my dad and other fathers that have said like their kids are their whole life, and it almost seems like kids come before your spouse. Have you guys talked about, and have you thought about like where your relationship ranks? Like, is it you and your wife first, and then Alice, and then, training? Like, where do things rank for you now?
Yeah, that is an extremely interesting question. I think for me, the way I see it is I see our family as, as one. And I think that the three of us, my wife and my daughter are the same amount of importance to me, which is the most important things in my life. And yeah, I think they're always going to be on just an even playing field. And like, I don't think I could put one of them ahead of the other one, because I need them both, so much in my life. So I think that just like one thing I also wanted to dive into in this is that, when we were going through the childbirth and stuff, I think, I realized like I kind of just had an epiphany as far as my wife goes. Like, I've never been, so scared in my life, as far as you watch her like go through that much pain and you can't do anything about it. And it was incredibly, incredibly difficult. And I think that it just made me realize like how important she is. And then our bond is just so much stronger. And then now having our daughter, I just think that one thing I just want people to know is that after something like that, I just think the bond that you have then with your wife is just incredible. And then, also with the newborn daughter, I just think they're both amazing, and they're both so important to me. So like I said, neither one of them is more important. They're just the two biggest things in my life. So
very cool, man. Well, I appreciate you just sharing your heart and being open and honest on the show. It's cool to be able to connect, just us three. We're all good friends, and just talk about real life stuff. I think today is a unique episode, but it brings a lot of value just in you coming on and being honest about being new to fatherhood, what you just mentioned about your wife, and then obviously some good takeaways training wise.
Yeah, thank you guys very much.
As always, we appreciate you tuning in to the Solutions to Wellness podcast. Do us a great favor and go onto iTunes and give us a 5-star review, and also share the episode so that we can continue the growth and the outreach and education to people to get the best health and wellness aspects of their lives. Find us on solutionstowellnessexpo.com, the podcast, the blog, and all the information to the Solutions to Wellness Expo is on that website. Check it out, January 11th of 2020. We will see you there. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.